This season, Bungie has done a really good job at giving us new exotics that are actually fun and actually enjoyable to use compared to last season. This season, our Titans have an amazing exotic that increases the damage of their Burning Maul, giving it a one-off super. Hunters, we got the ability to throw lucent moths everywhere, and Warlocks, this season, you have the ability to have unlimited ability regen and an army of Void Souls, and that is the build we're going to be talking about today with the new exotic Briarbinds. But, of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep coming back and seeing more, and let's have a quick word from our sponsor. A few seconds ago, the exotic we're going to be looking at today is going to be the new Warlock exotic Briarbinds, which comes with the exotic trait 1 with the Void. Your Void Souls have a longer duration. They also gain escalating damage and durability as they defeat targets. You can retrieve your Void Souls by interacting with them, allowing them to be redeployed. This exotic is going to make the Void Souls we deploy last for 5 seconds longer and allow us to pick them up, giving us the ability to redeploy them within 25 seconds while keeping whatever bonus damage and health they manage to get. For that damage, it stacks up to 5 times with a 16% bonus at 1 defeat and then a 100% bonus damage after 5 defeats. This also works for their health, starting at a 13% bonus at 1 and then going up to a 66% bonus at 5, again the max stacks. If you throw a Void Soul at a target that is already being attached by another Void Soul, they will do the damage of the one that started doing the damage. So if you throw a max stack Void Soul at a target, the next Void Soul you throw is also going to be doing the damage of that maxed stacked Void Soul, which is good if you want to stack them on bosses or champions. With the ability to pick them up, it is very nice to throw at a group of ads, get that max bonus, and then throw it at a bigger target, as Void Souls also weaken targets, meaning we're going to get a lot of bonuses from that as well. We're going to increase our own damage, but we'll talk about that later when going over the class setup, as the weakening from this plays a huge part in this build. As for weapons, we are first going to take a look at the perk Repulsor Brace, which, when we defeat a Void debuff target, we are going to get a Void Overshield. Like I mentioned, Void Souls weaken, so we are going to take advantage of that Void debuff more than just the damage that we're going to be able to do. We are now going to get an Overshield from it when we defeat those weakened targets with Repulsor Brace, which is really nice, adds a lot of utility and defense to this build, which, to be fair, it kinda needs. Another weapon to pair with this build to feed into the theme of constant ability generation is going to be Traveler's Chosen. This is an exotic kinetic sidearm that comes with the exotic trait Gathering Light. Final blows with this weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light. Hold reload to consume stacks, granting melee, grenade, and class ability energy based on the number of stacks. This will allow us to get some energy back if our abilities need that little extra to be topped off. It also has the gift of the Traveler. Each stack of Gathering Light improves this weapon's reload, handling, and target acquisition. This just makes this weapon feel better as we get more stacks of Gathering Light, but we want to consume them, so that's where the Catalyst comes in with its 2 additional traits. First of which is going to be Surplus, which gives us bonuses to our handling, reload speed, and stability for each fully charged ability, plays very well with this weapon, and Osmosis, which when we throw a grenade will turn Traveler's Chosen into a Void weapon, which is also going to play a huge part in our class setup, which starts with Child of the Old Gods. Cast your Rift to create a Void Soul. When you damage a target with a weapon, your Void Soul flies to them and drains them, doing damage and weakening them. When a target is being drained, you are granted grenade and melee energy if running a healing rift, or health if running an empowering rift. Defeating a target who is being drained by your Void Soul also grants class ability energy. This is the main thing we're using, as it's boosted by our exotic Briarbinds. Since we are also using healing rifts, this is where we're going to be getting that ability energy back to our grenades and our melee. And by defeating the targets that are being drained, we will get class ability energy back and the Void Overshield if we are running Repulsor Brace. Also, if you have multiple Void Souls damaging different targets, they will all feed into this as well, so the more you have, the more abilities you can use. I also took Chaos Accelerant, Hold Grenade to overcharge them, making them more effective and deadlier. I am using Vortex Grenades, so that makes the area of effect bigger and it makes them last longer. Since this is a build about throwing out abilities, I want to boost them in any way that I can, and Chaos Accelerant gives me that ability by making our grenades much better. And we can have consistent uptime on Devour from our fragments, which starts with Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour with a -10 to recovery. Just by picking up one of these items, we're going to get Devour that refreshes on a defeat, or by simply picking up another Orb or Breach, and we'll be making a ton of them with Echo of Harvest. Defeating a weakened target creates an Orb of Power and a Void Breach with a -10 to Intellect. Our Void Souls will weaken every target they attach to, meaning we will have a very steady stream of breaches and orbs, as this fragment will make both of us to consume for Devour. We're also going to take Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons with a +10 to strength. When we throw a void grenade with Traveler's Chosen out, it will become a void weapon, and in turn it will give it those volatile rounds, making it able to pierce barrier champions, meaning that you can now run this in content with champions and not be a complete detriment to your team. And finally, we have Echo of Expulsion. Void ability Final Blows cause targets to explode with a +10 to Intellect. This is a nice fragment to have for the Intellect bonus to cancel out the negative we get from Echo of Harvest. And since we are taking advantage of a high ability uptime build, we can use these Void Explosions constantly from our grenades, our melee, and even the defeats that our Void Souls get, as they count as abilities. As for our artifact, the important stuff to take is Elemental Orbs Void, so we can throw them for that extra volatile. Elemental Fury, so our abilities and elemental orbs can do more damage to champions. Communal Pickups, in case someone else picks up our Void Orb, we're going to get some extra bonus damage to our weapons. Refreshing Pickup, so we can get ability energy when we pick up a Void Orb. Monochromatic Maestro, so we can get ability damage by dealing damage with our weapon, and get weapon damage by dealing damage with our abilities. And finally, Elemental Munitions, as this is just a good one to take to make ammo from our elemental orbs. Moving on to our armor mods, we're going to start with our helmet and take Harmonic and Kinetic Siphon. These are both very helpful for all our void weapons, and in case Traveler's Chosen is still a kinetic weapon when we get a defeat, it gives us that extra safety net to then give us more orbs. We're also going to take Ashes to Assets, as our grenades are enhanced by Chaos Accelerant, and this is going to make it so we can get our super back faster. On our arms, we're taking Firepower to make orbs from the grenades and tool bolstering detonation, as we want to get our class ability back very quickly in order to produce more Void Souls. On chest, we have our standard charged up for more stacks of armor charge and our resist or reserve mods. Legs, we have stacks on stacks, so we can get 2 stacks of armor charge from 1 orb. You can also use elemental charge if you want, because we're going to be making a ton of void breaches. We also have a double stack of insulation, so when we pick up orbs, we get class ability energy back. Finally, on our bond, we have Reaper, so when we place a rift and get a defeat, we make an orb, and utility kickstart, so we can consume our armor charge stacks to get class ability energy back to then make another Void Soul. This is a very heavy class ability generation setup for our mods, because we want to make a bunch of Void Souls. With that being said, for stats, we're going to want high recovery, so again, we can place more rifts and get more Void Souls, then take high discipline to throw more grenades, and of course, a high resilience is helpful for damage resistance. At the end of the day, this build kind of reminds me of a watered down Heart of Inmost Light build that you would see from a Titan with just extra steps, but it is still very good. There's still a lot of ability uptime with this build. You can just throw grenades, these Void Souls, and your melee is also super handy as well. And the cool thing about this build is if you want to set it up for a melee version, just swap out some mods and you're pretty much good to go, because nothing about the basics of this build changes how it works, whether it's a grenade or a melee based build. So with that being said, that is the end of this particular build video. I have a few more videos in mind that I want to do. I obviously want to, my next build video is going to be kind of a review / build on Hollowfire Heart and my feelings towards that. Spoiler alert, it's not great and it actually makes me very depressed. Another video that I'm thinking about making is going over the artifact this season, because I have a lot of problems with the artifact this season. Like, its idea is really good, but it's fundamentally just not fun, I would say, almost in a way. Like, it's fun to throw the Void Orbs and like these Arc Orbs and these Solar Orbs, but they could have done so much more with them, and I kind of want to go over over that and get that off my chest in a video. So if you're interested in hearing about that and my ramblings and ranting about that, subscribe, as we are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and that is really good to see. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video.